What is up, everyone? Fireside Yankees is back. We got myself, Ryan, and my awesome co-host, Nick. We're going to be running through a list of the notable Yankee free agents. So, we're not going to be discussing the Jacob Barnes and Greg Birds of the world, but we will be discussing guys who had an impact on the major league team. Whether it's positive or negative is a completely different discussion, but definitely an impact. But before we get into today and what we have planned, Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great, actually. I mean, did an episode the other day with Wade yesterday where we talked about the free agents and what our offseason could look like. So I'm getting all hyped up again for Yankees baseball. The way it ended was rough. We all know it. We can't keep harping on it as easy as it is to harp on. But I'm ready for 2023 already, man. Like, it sucks that we have so long to go until baseball really starts ramping up. But I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple of months. A lot of free agents to talk about that are notable. And then, of course, there are a lot of Yankees free agents that there are some question marks around. Should we bring him back? Should we not? So I'm excited to dive in this episode with you, my man. Sad we're not going to dive into Chichi Gonzalez, but I do not think he will be returning to the Yankees next season. Just going to say that. So this should be a fun one.
Yeah, no, definitely disheartened that Chichi Gonzalez may not be returning to this New York Yankees ball club.
Everyone stops listening.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, that's one of the most important pieces of the team. I mean, put aside Aaron Judge. No, I'm joking. But
put aside Judge.
Look, we'll start off with, I think the first guy we're going to be working, bottom up. I don't think it would make much sense to, start off with Judge and then work our way down to guys who, quite frankly, aren't as highly touted or as talked about. So we'll start with Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin Gonzalez had a perfect 0.0 F4 last year. Really didn't, not saying he didn't have an impact. He, was a great defensive player, but wasn't much more other than that. We know he couldn't hit. It was a struggle for him. I imagine that despite the fact that the Yankees brought him in and they had high hopes for him to be a solid UTL guy, I think they would say that they were a little bit let down by the performance he put up, though it was kind of in line with what he's been over the last few years anyways. But I would say kind of solidly, I'm good on bringing back Marwin. No offense to the guy, but I think you have enough young talent. I think you could probably pick someone else up who's going to be a little speedier and play good defense and also not hit, but for less money.
And also not hit. No, yeah, Marluz can go. I don't care. Goodbye. He did nothing for this team. He made a few nice plays in right field and shortstop. And I will say, those plays, the reason they were so nice is because we're like, wow, Marwin Gonzalez is making those plays. But 65 WRC plus this year, right in line with his career average, except for the year he cheated, in which I think he had a 144 WRC plus. So it's like you look at the trajectory and you can't say you're surprised that he didn't play well this year because he didn't play well the last 3 years. But he's a definite no for me. Like you said, tons of other guys out there, guys within the organization as well that I'd like to see called up over him. There's a couple of sneaky guys that I think could play big roles this season in a depth role in our minor leagues, which will be nice. So I don't know. No Marwin, goodbye. Hopefully he gets signed by like the Pirates.
Yeah, I don't think Marwin comes back, and if he does, it'd be on like another minor league deal. So I'll pass.
400 at bats.
Yeah, I'll pass. I don't think there's much reason to have him at this point. And I guess this is just going based on how the list is. So Marwin was very clearly going to be the worst or least impactful. Maybe not the worst, but maybe the one that we kind of care about the least in terms of what actually happens with him.
I think it goes by salary, Alex.
Yeah, it does.
2022 salary.
Right.
And Marwin made nothing, so that's fine.
So the next guy up is actually Matt Carpenter. And I think this is a more interesting discussion. Matt Carpenter, of course, crushed it for the Yankees. And then he got hurt, comes back in the postseason, was a shell of himself, understandably so. I view Carpenter as someone that the Yankees, if they'd like to bring him back in eventually, I could see it. You could definitely make the argument that, the lack of defensive versatility, not really knowing what he'll be as a defensive player, next season, maybe that deters the Yankees from getting him. Maybe the price tag itself. I mean, maybe another team's willing to pay him like $7 to $8 million, maybe $9 million, maybe $10 million, right? Because he really put together a strong regular season. And I know the postseason kind of lowered his stock a little bit, but again, he was great in his brief time with the Yankees.
The postseason lowered every Yankees stock. So it's like except for like Garrett Cole and like Rizzo and of course Bader, who probably tripled his value in the postseason. But No, yeah, Carpenter is the biggest wild card for me. I'm looking at all these free agents here, and Carpenter is the one that I'm really, really on the gray area about. Like you said, I think someone's going to offer Marp a year for 6-7 million, and I don't think the Yankees should match that. Let's be real. But if Marp's like, yeah, I'd love to come back for like a $2 million deal or a year for $1 million, just something like that, then absolutely bring him back. You can never have too much depth. And Matt Carpenter, when he was healthy, we saw he actually, like, for whatever reason, well, we know the reason he went on that whole cross country tour, revamping his swing and everything, but he put it together. And then we saw it happen when he came back from injury, as well as Boone not knowing what to do with the lineup decisions a lot of the time, as well as the constant shuffling of the lineup. So we saw Marp put like 11 at bats together, 12, and I don't think he did anything in any of them. But that's so small of a sample size for me to be like, all right, I don't want you anymore. I just want him back for the right price. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know. I think the Cardinals could sneakily be interested in getting Marp for DH, bringing him back. Now with the universal DH rule and some other things that are, and the shift will be banned as well. Carpenter is a very interesting guy because I think it was Yankee World Addison, the man on Twitter, posted the Matt Carpenter home run spray chart from Savant, and every single one of them was hit to the short porch and right. Some of them were hit further than others, obviously, but he's such a heavy pull hitter that if you can get him for the right price, I think it makes too much sense not, or it makes no sense not to try to bring him back to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I kind of feel that same way. That gray, that kind of, you described it, that gray, area. Not really sure how I feel either way. I'm open to it. I'm not going to be upset if he leaves. It's kind of one of those things where, like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I don't really care.
Exactly. Indifference.
Yeah, it's indifference. Yes, not to diss Matt Carpenter, more so just because I know there's going to be other teams that may want Matt Carpenter more and could also offer Matt Carpenter a starting role, maybe as the DH. We'll see. So I think indifference is kind of where I'm at there.
Yeah.
The next guy by salary is Miguel Castro, who the Yankees acquired in a deal for Joely Rodriguez from the New York Mets. And Castro's interesting in the sense that we know the stuff is electric, right? We know the slider's really good. The sinker throws very hard. The changeup throws very hard. Like, he's got electric stuff, but it just didn't come together from this year. The sinker became a really poor pitch for him, despite the fact in years past, it's like, oh, wow, he throws a 97 plus mile per hour sinker. He has great extension, all those things. It was a terrible pitch this year. This isn't like just by results, by stuff plus, it was a horrible pitch, right? Like, it was graded terribly. I was kind of shocked by how bad the sinker was, just because the velocity is really good. You imagine that that's a pitch that should work for him, but he had a 52.6 stuff plus. That means his sinker was nearly 50% worse than league average in terms of, velocity, movement, all those things. And it's like, well, what happened here? So, he's an interesting pitcher. I don't think the Yankees should bring him back. I don't think the Yankees will bring him back. But take it away, Nick.
No, you 100%. Everything you just said, I agree with. The only way I bring him back is if it was a minor league deal. Again, you can never have too much depth. If he goes and pitches in AAA for the first month and we have a guy injured, Miguel Castro is probably going to be one of the first guys to get that call. So I wouldn't mind signing him on a AAA minor league contract deal, or some sort of invite to spring training with a contingency that you do well, you can make the roster potentially. But I do not want Miguel Castro to have a spot in this bullpen, especially with the other guys that we have in the bullpen already. He just doesn't fit. And his sinker, I think the reason it was graded such a poor pitch is because he never threw the sinker how you're supposed to throw a sinker. His sinker oftentimes was high outside, middle on the hands. I very rarely saw Miguel Castro just pound low and inside or low and away with the sinker trying to get ground balls. Miguel Castro is a ground ball pitcher, but he's got the stuff to get strikeouts. So he tries to get strikeouts. And we saw this year when it didn't work, it didn't work. So I'm all over the Miguel Castro experience. Fortunately, Joely Rodriguez wasn't any better as a Met. So it's not like we lost out on some big guy because we took a risk.
Yeah, and you mentioned location. I mean, stuff plus doesn't even factor for location, so we're not even factoring for the part where he doesn't really have a great
throw
command.
It well.
So the pitch is genuinely just not good. It was an interesting experience because I don't really know, but yeah, I agree. Miguel Castro, I'm kind of past, as you mentioned, minor league deal maybe, but I don't really know. I think another team will be willing to offer him a little bit more.
True.
Again, there are a lot of more teams that have more.
He'll be a Ranger and he'll post a sub-2 ERA and FIP.
You know what? That'd be pretty funny. I'm rooting for the guy, guys. I mean, I hope he's a good pitcher because he might be on the Dominican World Baseball Classic team. So I gotta like hope he does well. Of
course.
So there's that. But moving on to another reliever, this Chad Green, I think, is someone I'm open to bringing back. I know that he's coming back. He's going to come off Tommy John, but Chad Green's always been a very good pitcher. I think a lot of people kind of forget, Chad Green's has a very strong resume as a pitcher.
Dude, he
His
was our best guy
fastball,
for like 3 years in a row. He was the only reliever we trusted for like 3
yeah,
years in a row.
Chad Green's fastball, I know a lot of people mention, the lot kind of like having a little bit less life to it, but referencing stuff plus again, a 118.4 stuff plus on that particular pitch, that fastball is really good. And then on the season as a whole, his stuff plus was a 111.3. Also very elite. That slots around where Walker Buehler, Craig Kimbrell, Tyler Rogers, Drew Smith, Tommy Canley, Kendall Graveman, some of these, Lou Trevino, some of these pretty good relievers in baseball. I look at Green as someone that if the Yankees bring him back for cheap, and he rehabs in that bullpen, he could be a real force for this team. He handles lefties well with the fastball and curveball combination. I'm open to it. So, I've kind of always defended Chad Green. So, I think Chad Green's a good pitcher. And if the Yankees bring him back for cheap to rehab with them, I'd be so down for it.
That's what I was about to say. Would you do a Dodgers a la Tommy Canley type deal where it's a 2-year deal because we know you're not going to pitch this year? And I think we could get him at a bit of a discount for that. So is that what you're thinking you do with Green? Because he's not going to pitch 2023.
Yeah, I don't know if he might pitch in 2023.
Oh.
It depends on how the Tommy John goes. Because remember, he got knocked out pretty early in the year.
Yeah, it was like the first month.
Yeah, remember, Canley actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could double check right now. I feel like Canley maybe made an appearance in 2021.
He did. He played a little bit with us.
No, he didn't make an appearance in 2021. Okay, that's
no, not 2020. I thought you meant 2020. Excuse me. Sorry.
No, he did, and he got knocked out in August though.
Yeah, he pitched 3 games for the Yankees.
Right. Even though it was early in the season, it was August because of the 2020 season. So it knocked, you get knocked out for a year. So maybe Chad Green doesn't pitch in 2023. That'll be interesting. I guess that would play a role in how willing the Yankees would be to bring him back because he'd also have to take up a roster spot. You mentioned Tommy. Yeah, you mentioned Tommy Canley. I know Canley, hasn't really pitched much since then, but his stuff was still pretty good. So
I just did a piece on Canley earlier today for ESM. I think he'd be a sneaky 1-year, $3 million deal guy. And you look at his splits now with the changeup. When we first got him, he threw his fastball 57% of the time and his changeup 41% of the time. About pretty 1-2 pitcher, basically. Now, last year with the Dodgers, limited showing, 76% changeup usage and only 20% fastball usage. And they hit the shit out of his fastball. But Tommy Canley and Ron Marinaccio, their changeups would be probably the best 1-2 changeup pitching in the bullpen that we have in baseball. Like that'd be euphoria. It'd be like ecstasy.
Yeah, I think the Yankees can definitely explore that like cheaper reliever option. I look at Green as one of those guys that could be that.
I like Green on a 2-year deal, bringing him back.
Yeah,
he's been a great Yankee. 1? He's done 1+1. Yeah, if his recovery goes well and he does pitch a little bit this season, then you definitely pick up his option for next year. Like I like that a lot. I think Green for the right price I'd bring back because he's done everything and then some for this organization. And people shit on Green because he occasionally gives up home runs. But Chad Green for like 2017-18 pitched like 180 innings for this organization. Like he was the only guy that we trusted. So I'd love to have him back.
Yeah, I second that sentiment that Chad Green's someone that has done a lot for this team and has definitely been an extremely valuable part of this bullpen. And, on that sentiment, we'll move on. We got more relievers still. And these two guys, we'll talk about Britton first because he made a little less money. That we're just going in that order for, pitchers. Or I guess, but Britton is someone. Yeah, Britton is someone that he's in a similar boat as Chad Green in the sense of like coming off injury and he's going to be at a reduced rate. But the difference is I trust Chad Green to come back from injury and pitch well. I don't know if I feel the same way about Zach Britton. Not, I feel bad saying that because Britton is someone that, it's very not similar. But in the same kind of vein, like he was someone that a lot of Yankee fans are going to have a negative feeling about, despite the fact that he pitched very well for the Yankees for the most part between 2019 and 2020. And then it was injuries that kind of did him in over the last few seasons in a pretty small sample. It's unfortunate. I don't think the Yankees are going to bring him back. I don't think I would be on board with bringing him back just because I know he's a massive injury liability. And I would just rather take my risk on Chad Green. I think they're going to be similarly priced. I don't know what you think, but my thoughts on Britton are kind of brief. It's more so it's unfortunate his time is going to end like this, but I think it's kind of the end.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Like when he pitched for us, he was still so elite, so lethal when he was healthy. Led the league in left on base percentage, ground ball percentage, home run to fly ball percentage for like 2 or 3 seasons with us. He was top of the leaderboards. But yeah, his time has come. It's He may get picked up by another organization. I have a sneaky feeling this offseason is going to see a lot of reunions from veteran players that are going to sign on minimum deals. I could see Britton going back to the Orioles. Call me crazy. But Britton, again, the biggest problem for him was that he was making $14 million last year and he pitched like 6 innings and they're all terrible. So that's why it's like, no offense to Britton. I just feel like Father Time's caught up to him. Great guy, great pitcher when he did pitch. But yeah, he's a no for me. I say you let him walk.
Yeah, I think, Britton, I have a lot more sympathy for Britton than the next guy we're going to talk about, who I think we're going to. Aroldis Chapman should never be on the near. I'm going to keep my thoughts brief. Aroldis Chapman sucks. Aroldis Chapman abandoned the team. Aroldis Chapman's a terrible person. Aroldis Chapman is unreliable, and Aroldis Chapman fucking stinks. So he should not be on the Yankees next year. Yeah. I'll let you take it away.
No, perfect. Yep, perfect. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't see anyone giving Aroldis Chapman a multi-year deal. It's gonna be once again a 1 year, probably minimum deal to say, hey, can you actually fucking show up to practice? Can you throw the ball over the plate and not just look atrocious? Like, I think it was either you or it was Gabe that was mentioning how Aroldis Chapman actually had some of the best stuff plus in baseball. Once again, but that's how it is with him every time. He is a violently good pitcher when he's on, especially with his motion, his extension, his release. And then when he can locate, he's lethal. But we haven't seen that Aroldis in probably like a year and a half for a consistent period of time. So bye-bye, sayonara. I hope you're playing in like the KBO next year, you fucking prick.
Yeah, amongst all pitchers who qualified, Aroldis Chapman was by far the worst pitcher in terms of location plus. So his stuff plus was very
sucks.
Good. Yeah, his pitching plus was below average because his location plus was so terrible. I don't want to carry myself too much in indulging in the rage that I feel.
It's so easy with him.
It is. There are so many things. He's not a likable guy. He's not a good person off the field.
Beats people when shit doesn't go his way. Like, fuck off. Get the hell out of New York, dude.
I can't stand the guy, and I'm really glad that I'm hoping I never have to see him in pinstripes again. But we'll move on. We'll talk about someone who's there's a more positive story to that player, Jameson Taillon, someone that I'm not. I feel bad because I really do. I was a big Taillon guy, and I feel like he just wasn't what I expected he would be. I still think there's another level to him. I think there are still things he can work on, but I'm just not on board with bringing him back because I think his market's going to be a little too high. And if we're going to, pay a lot for a pitcher, whether it be, upwards of $50 million, go all in and get me a guy like Verlander, right? You don't have to cheap out of that position if you're going to. And if you're not going to spend, just give me Herman and Schmidt, splitting time as a fifth starter for the season and try to trade for someone at the deadline if you need to. But I imagine the Yankees try to give him the qualifying offer. I think that would make sense because I don't think he'll take it.
Well, I think he would because it'd be $5 or $6 million over what he's probably going to get average per year. So if you're Taillon, you're like, I could make $20 million this year and still only be 31, and then sign a 4 or 5 year deal for $75 million if I pitch well. So that's why I don't think the Yankees even offered him the QO. They did with Rizzo, and I'm 90% sure. I don't see why you wouldn't do it with Judge because you get the picks back for if they say no. But yeah, I haven't seen any news about them offering it to Taillon, which leads me to believe they're like, all right, if we want to bring you back, we'll try to bring you back on like a 3-year, $42 million deal, which is what I think Taillon's going to get 3 or 4 years for 40 to 60 million, somewhere in that realm. So it's like I can see him commanding 20 million from some teams, but I don't want to be one of those teams that gives it to him. Taillon was not a bad Yankee. He was a good Yankee. When he pitched well. He was very consistent, ate a lot of innings, usually made all of his starts and went into the 5th or 6th inning. But I feel like you said, for the price that he's going to probably be commanding, for the market out there especially, I just think there's better options that the Yankees can go for if they wanted to. And on the Verlander point you made, apparently Garrett Cole reached out to Justin Verlander or something. I could have heard that from a false source because all Twitter is now is a bunch of fucking chaos. But I wouldn't doubt it. They were buddies when they pitched in Houston together. Garrett knows the pitchers that like what they want to do. I don't know. I could be hyping myself up again like I did last year when I was like, oh, maybe we give Verlander a 2-year deal, and then we just didn't. So, and that worked out.
Yeah, I don't.
But no to Taillon. For me, no to Taillon.
I'm gonna say no, not in a begrudging way, more of in financially. I think another team's gonna be more desperate for Taillon than we are.
Yep.
I wish the best for him. I hope he has success. Wherever
he's
he
an
goes.
Angel, dude. Taillon's gonna love California.
I hope he pitches well with them, right? Or Diamondback. I would love to see him with the D-backs. I really like the D-back. Yeah, man.
Holding it down.
Yes, man. Merrill Kelly.
Merrill Kelly.
The boys.
The boys.
This Fireside Yankees is a Diamondbacks fan approved show.
Oh yeah, dude. Ketel Marte
Yes.
this year, for everyone out there that's in a dynasty fantasy baseball league. Buy low on Ketel now, and you will thank me. He is going to have a 900 OPS season in 2023.
And he had that 960 XBA line out that I love seeing videos about. But we'll move on from our Diamondbacks talk. We might have to make Fireside Diamondbacks.
Oh god, that'd be hilarious. All 84 fans would love it.
Moving on, though, we have Andrew Benintendi, who I think it's weird. Benintendi is someone that I feel like, okay, do the Yankees get Benintendi because like Masataka Yoshida signed somewhere else and he wasn't very interested in the Yankees or his price tag went up? Or did Benintendi sign with the Yankees because the Yankees didn't really explore the other options and they just signed Benintendi? Because I feel like
we don't want that.
Right.
We don't want that.
It's like Nimmo's probably going to price himself out. And I think other teams, like the Mariners, might want him more than we do. The Mets might want him more than we do, even though I do think the Yankees really want him. How do the Yankees land Benintendi, I think, is a very important question here. But I'll side with I would like to have Benintendi back if he's if out of all the left-handed contact left fielders that are on the market, I'm cool with Benintendi. So, I mean, that's kind of how I'll put it. It's kind of complicated, but it's how we get him matters just as much as if we get him.
Yep, 100% agreed. Ryan, we've been in agreement on basically every point so far. I think there's only one that we were like, I don't know about, and that was Green. And the only reason was because I didn't know if he's going to pitch. But we've been on the same page, dude. I agree. Benintendi, would like to have him back. Wouldn't mind it at all. Wouldn't be upset about it. Part of me does think that this is the best we will see from that type of Benintendi. Because if you look at how Benintendi's profile has been for the past 5 years in the majors, this is the first season he truly abandoned launch angle and power and just tried to put the ball in all parts of the field. He hit it opposite field a ton this year. And that's what I liked about it. But I don't know if he's going to be able to kind of keep that up and bat 300 again next season. But what I do love about Benintendi is that he's got very similar plate discipline to Brandon Nimmo. Loves to work counts, is a lefty as well, can play center a bit, but plays lefty primarily, or left field primarily. So I'd like to have Benintendi back for the right price. If it means, like Masataka Yoshida went somewhere else. Or we didn't want to splurge for Brandon Nimmo. Like there's a couple of guys out there I'd rather have than Benintendi, but I would not mind seeing Benintendi back. So that's probably an indifference for me as well, like the Carpenter one.
I guess on my end, I think I view him a little bit higher in the sense that his 2021 profile, he kind of went back to that a little bit towards the end with the Yankees, where he was pulling more fly balls, emphasis a little bit more on power. I think he could be a 20-plus home run guy with the Yankees. I don't want to say that that's his median outcome. I'm going to say that's more of the upper side of his value. But I look at him very similarly as I did Rizzo coming into 2022, where it's like, there were other more attractive options on the free agent market, Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson. It felt like it was disappointing to bring back Rizzo, but Rizzo ultimately netted some pretty good value for the Yankees, and I think he was an important part of the team. And I look at Benintendi a similar way where, I look at a Masataka Yoshida. I really want Yoshida, right? And I'm still going to want him more than I want Benintendi. That's not going to change. And I would explore Conforto. Maybe Conforto, coming back from injury is still a really good player, or maybe
he's him, dude.
Right, or splurging on Nimmo. I look at Nimmo's kind of the Freddie Freeman in comparison to Anthony Rizzo or Andrew Benintendi in this regard. And I still think Benintendi can net the value the Yankees are looking for, and still be a good leadoff option for this team. So I'm a little bit more of like, I've seen this song and dance before, and I'm not as opposed. I'm trying to have that approach of let me get ahead of the curve here instead of be behind the curve like I was for most of the offseason with Rizzo.
Yeah, and Benintendi be a good leadoff hitter as well. Although the Yankees, for whatever reason, because he struggled for like a week, decided to move him down to like batting 6th and 7th in the lineup. So that's why I like Benintendi. That's another thing. Like he could be a good leadoff guy. Nimmo, great leadoff guy. Yoshida, great leadoff guy. Double the walk rate than strikeout rate. Come on. Yankees should be all in on Masataka Yoshida. But if they can't get him for whatever reason, like you said, Benintendi's kind of a similar player. Doesn't have as much pop and upside, but his eye, his strikeout and walk rate, somewhat similar to Yoshida in terms of the way they approach the plate and swing the bat. So I wouldn't be too upset about it. I don't know. There's a lot of outfielders out there that I would not be upset about seeing join the Yankees. And I think it just shows the market. Like I'm a big Mitch Haniger fan. I think this year he's going to have a big bounce back year. I know he struggled to stay healthy and he's a righty. But if the Yankees are looking for depth, try to get Mitch Haniger as a 4th outfielder and just platoon him against righties. He doesn't hit lefties that well, I know. But he's also a dead fastball hitter. So I want the Yankees to try to do something, to be active, to be engaged. If they bring back Benintendi as like their first move, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I look at it as Benintendi, someone again that I would like the Yankees to explore external options, but wouldn't be upset if they bring him back. And
Yep.
I referenced Rizzo, and that's
The
next guy
next
we're gonna
guy.
talk
He's
about.
him. Next guy.
Yeah. So Anthony Rizzo is someone that I actually view as potentially, probably, maybe the first move the Yankees make. Right.
Yep.
I think if the Yankees offer him the qualifying offer, he's the most likely player to take it, in my opinion.
Yes.
You mentioned Town might be another candidate to take it, but I look at Town and say he might want financial security. He might say, I can get 3 years, $60 million. I'm not going to risk that and take a 1-year deal and then potentially tank my value with a bad season.
True.
Or, he's not like an elite starter. You know what I mean? So it's not like,
no, he's a 4.
Right. So he's had injury concerns. It was his first fully healthy season in a while. Maybe he's trying to capitalize on his value. But as for Anthony Rizzo, it's like, maybe that type of money is something that raises what he's looking for. He's confident in himself to go get another, 1 or 2 year deal later. I'd be confident giving him a 2-year deal. I'd be confident giving him a 3-year deal. I just wouldn't. That 3-year, that
you
third
go
year.
3 years with him. I just worry about his back in 3 years.
I do, but I worry about his back. But I'll give him 3 years in the sense that if it means lower AAV, I would not give him. You see, I would give him $18 million over 2 years. I would give him $18 million a year over 3 years, or I would not want to do that. I would try to stretch out his AAV as much as possible, and that's kind of how I view it right now. So I look at Anthony Rizzo as someone that he's someone that I think is still around a 125 weighted runs created plus type of guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's valuable. The defense actually got better and outs above average throughout the season. So ultimately, I'm pretty excited to see how he plays next year. And I hope it's still in pinstripes because, I don't. The other first baseman on the market I'd really look at is like Jose Abreu. And you kind of like having a lefty in Rizzo. So we'll see. But I think Rizzo does come back, and I think that Rizzo's someone that I would bring back. I'm very much a Rizzo guy.
Yeah, no, Rizzo, especially watching him in the postseason, he was huge for the team, one of the few offensive contributors. And again, we don't look at postseason for everything, but he showed up and he did his job. Then, of course, the stuff that you can't put into like calculations and stats is his impact in the clubhouse. Everyone loves Anthony Rizzo. Yankees fans love Anthony Rizzo. Aaron Judge, who we're trying to keep, loves Anthony Rizzo. So you sign Rizzo first thing, that probably shows Judge, hey, they came to play. They're doing what I want to see them do. So I think Rizzo is a no-brainer to keep. Absolutely. I would do a 2-year, like you said, $36 million deal. And if he wants some money to have the insurance to get that little boost up, then yeah, he should take the QL. But if he doesn't, we get the pick back and we just get to sign him to a 2-year deal. I think Rizzo, the only 2 teams he's going to be listening to are the Yankees and the Cubs. That could be me personally, but I would love to have him back. And that could also be kind of blinding me a bit. But Rizzo does everything right and then some. He struggled a bit with his strikeout rate and swing percentage and chase percentage this year more than he ever had. But he also barreled up baseballs more than he ever had in his entire career. And that, to me, is a big sign that, hey, next year, I think those two will balance out a little bit. I don't think Rizzo is going to be a mid-30s home run guy, but I do think he's not going to bat 230, 224 again. Like, that's unreasonably low for Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument to shift.
Yes, it'll help him a ton.
Yeah.
And Josh Bell is like, for me, like you said, Jose Abreu, like it's Jose Abreu and Josh Bell. Those are the first base guys out there. And Bell, terrible defensively to the point where everyone tries to play him DH. And he's more of a contact-free swinger than a guy that works pitches and hits it over the fence. Like you have to remember, he only hit 18 home runs last year. And he hit like all of those with the Nationals.
Yeah, I think Rizzo without the shift could hit a little bit higher for average. Yes. I think now the effects of that sometimes get overplayed. I was listening to Eno Saris, also the guy who made Stuff Plus, who I've referenced a lot on this channel.
You're a big Eno fan.
Big Stuff Plus guy, big Eno Saris. Eno Saris, if you ever listen to this podcast, I love you, man. And his co-host, of course, Derek on Rates and Barrels and the 3-0 show. It's often referenced as both. They talk about, they were talking about the shift. They mentioned, the effects on average. Is it going to be too crazy? It might be like 0.008 points for certain guys and like the upper echelons. Of course, those are estimates. We don't really know. But,
I think you think Joey Gallo's only going to improve by 0.008 because the shift's gone. There's no way in hell Joey Gallo doesn't see at least a 15-point increase in his batting average next season.
I think that a lot of players are going to have like a lot of like Gallo's, Gallo's average was down. Rizzo's Gallo's whole year was terrible.
Gallo sucked at everything.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Maybe you bring back Gallo and left field for a 1 year vet minimum. Let him prove himself.
If we ever just wanted to cause mayhem. We could just
completely
title
sever
a
the
video.
fan base.
Just title a video, should the Yankees bring back Joey Gallo, and
Ooh,
just
should
see
we
what
do it?
happens. I feel like that's like, I would even be able to take that episode seriously. Like, I would just make fun
the
of.
thing is, like, it's hard. It's so hard to look at someone that was that bad and not be like, all right, there's no way you can't possibly be that bad again. You know,
he's gonna be better because it was just that.
He still
bad,
had more F-word than Marwin.
That's kind of hilarious to think
Just
about.
saying.
But the way I view it is like with Rizzo, a lot of, Rizzo's average might just come up because, he might have just a better average just based on like having a little bit more positive regression. Same thing with like Gallo or some other guys who maybe were left-handed guys who had down years and are going to have better years, and people are going to correlate it to the shift when really it probably just has to do with they are better players than what they showed.
Me, you call me.
But I'm not now. Rizzo, I don't think was bad because of his average. I'm just saying I think he might have a boost because no shift.
No, I'm not saying he was bad either. But
no,
Rizzo also is not a 220 bat.
No, I know.
That's what it is.
See, that's how I see it. It's like the average I think is going to go up. And you mentioned like the power might come down a little bit. The average might go up. It might meet in the middle a little bit. So
a lot of averages.
Right. So, that's why I view Rizzo. I think he's someone whose average is going to go up because of positive regression, not just because of the shift. But the power is going to come down a little bit, and he's going to sit somewhere around the 125 WRC plus, kind of worse from what he was last year, but still pretty good. And then the last, I guess, to kind of pivot here, because this is the guy, the man of the hour, the easiest yes, I think ever. Aaron Judge. Should the Yankees bring the best player that the franchise has had in a very long time?
No, because we can get the same value from Josh Bell and Tyler Naquin for a 17th of the.
Look, the Yankees we can recreate him in the aggregate.
That's what I'm saying. The Yankees are going to try to moneyball this shit.
Yeah, we're going to have like the moneyball scene. Brian Cashman, like he's in the videos like, we can't bring him back, but we can create him in the aggregate. He like starts throwing the little signs and it's like Josh Bell, Tyler Naquin,
Darian Ruff.
Yes, Joey Gallo.
Take the Mets trash.
But Aaron Judge is someone, projections love him. I love him. The Yankees love him. You love him. These are important. I think our approval is obviously much more important than objective data. But objective data helps, I guess. He's projected to be the second best player in baseball next year at a 6.7 F4 behind Juan Soto. But I have my doubts about Juan Soto being better than Aaron Judge next year.
Simply defensively looking at it, there's no way in hell he can keep.
Right. I think the defense might. But you know what? It's also Juan Soto. I'm a big Juan Soto guy. But
I love Juan Soto.
That's a different.
He's an elite generational guy, but Judge is better as a player. Juan Soto, I will say, probably could be a better hitter than Judge next year. But Juan Soto, we saw what happened when Juan Soto was playing right field for the Padres. He was just lost half the time. And somehow wasn't he nominated for a Gold Glove? Like, that joke's just such an award, that award is such a joke that it just kind of made me laugh. Juan Soto is a phenomenal baseball player, but I think Judge has a better season than him next year. Yeah, doesn't even have to be this good of a season yet this year. Yankees fans are all like, Judge is going to regress so heavily next year. Like, no shit. He just put up an 11, almost 12 F-WAR season. Obviously, he's going to regress a bit. That's Barry Bonds level of baseball. And hitters are going to throw a lot less hittable shit to him. Because old Judge, he has improved a ton. Old Judge would occasionally swing on top of some sliders and miss. He would chase some stuff out of the zone. He would get frustrated by the terrible strike zone. I mean, the guy still has more called strikes on him that were balls than anyone in baseball. But he's so patient. He does everything right. And if he leaves, talked about with Gabe yesterday, you got to tear down the Judge's chambers. And I don't think that Cashman and Howell want to undergo stadium renovations. I feel like that'd just be even more money out of their pocket, and they don't like doing that. So chicken bucket prices go up. Judge stays a Yankee.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with Judge, he's going to regress. Steamer has him regressing by 4.7 WAR and 50 WRC plus points, and he's still going to be the second best player in baseball.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
he's him.
Right. Aaron Judge next season, I think, is a lock to be one of the 3 or 4 best players in baseball. Yep. The Yankees lineup with Judge, you can kind of do the thing where if you bring back Rizzo, you bring back Benintendi, and you have, Glaber, Peraza, Bader, Trevino, I'm forgetting some, LeMahieu, this team, is there any elite hitters there? No, but there are a lot of pretty good hitters, Rizzo as well. You can surround Aaron Judge by just pretty good hitters and,
fine.
Yeah, you'll finish top 5 and runs scored.
I just don't know if it's gonna be enough to win it all. That's what that's the only reason why I'm like hesitant on the Benintendi signing and like bringing back Tyone is because these are all not bad moves per se. It's just there's other moves out there that I think the team should make that could make them better. Like Giancarlo Stanton last year, I do not think that this year is gonna be anything like last season. But I am getting a little bit worried now that Stanton once again was riddled with injuries throughout the entire season and had that very long cold spout where it's like this dude has gotten like one hit in a month and it was a home run. But if Stanton's healthy and he's fit and he's in the lineup every day, and there's no way it's just like we were talking about earlier, the law of averages. The only person on this team that I do not believe can bounce back from how bad they were or how much they struggled last year was Josh fucking Donaldson. And that's because every single stat of his regressed like heavily. Like his average exit velocity, his longest or his like farthest hit, his swing speed. The only thing that improved is his like outs above average defensively. And his arm also was not as good this year. So I think Donaldson should be sent to the shadow realm, and every other guy we talked about, there could be a point made about maybe we bring him back, except for Aroldis, obviously. But Aroldis was cut, I personally think, when they said don't show up for practice, like you're done. I think that was it for him. No shot ever he comes back.
Yeah, I think the hilarious thing about, the whole the kind of everything you mentioned is, we are talking about this video. Really, the guy that we absolutely need to bring back is Aaron Judge, right?
Yeah,
like,
no duh. Judge is the one. Everyone else, I don't care, honestly.
We could talk about alternatives at every other position. Every single guy here, either we didn't want to bring them back, or if we did, we were like, we could. But, if they go a different direction, if the Yankees go a different direction with Aaron Judge, they're going to be a worse baseball team next year.
Yeah, because it's going to be, like I said, Tyler Naquin and Mitch Haniger are going to be the right field. And then in left field, we're just going to continue to run out Oswaldo Cabrera. We're not even going to bring back Benintendi. And then it's going to be Bader in center. That's what the outfield will look like. I feel like Frank Fleming right now.
He's going to Frank Fleming, right?
He's going to let him go. He's going to let him fucking go to the Braves.
Hal is smiling, Judge is smiling, Cashman is smiling. Buster Only is doing the chop. But like, in all seriousness, I do think the Yankees bring back Aaron Judge. I do think the Yankees are gonna, do what it takes. As you mentioned, we have the Judge's chambers in right field. That's a weird thing to just get rid of. You know what I mean?
They charge like thousands, I think, for those tickets.
Yeah,
with the gavel and the gown and the wig and shit. That's a big expense for Hal. And Judge leads jersey sales. Everyone loves Judge. He is the biggest cash cow that Hal could ever have imagined. And they drafted him, so they have that to go off of. They're like, we believed in you. We knew you were going to be something. It took us a little bit to give you your shot, sure. But now look at you. And so I think that's their only negotiating ploy they have. And they're like, we got the Judge's chambers. But if Judge comes in and he's like, I want $350 million for 9 years, you say yes. I'm sorry. I don't care about how much he may regress when he's 37. You say yes because those next 6 years with Aaron Judge, you will be easily top 4 favorites to win the World Series every year.
Yeah, and I was looking at it. I was actually watching Dan O'Rourke's video talking about the offseason plan where he's like, Aaron Judge is the captain. Aaron Judge is the guy. Aaron Judge needs to be named captain. We need to, make sure he's the face of this franchise for as long as he's a New York Yankee. And as long as he's playing in Major League Baseball, he should be a New York Yankee. So I think we agree there. I think, I think the best way for me to, kind of wrap up my thoughts, and I'll let you, wrap up yours, is, Benintendi, Rizzo, those are guys I'm interested in bringing back. Everyone else is very, very, especially the bullpen guys, very much like, we could replace them or they're injured.
Especially for how much talent we have in the system.
Yeah. But for Aaron Judge, the way I can put this is like, I'm only 18. So I understand that my history in Yankee baseball is not nearly as much as some of our viewers, some people who are really in tune with the New York Yankees. But I find it hard pressed for me to say that it's not Aaron Judge is the greatest Yankee I've got to watch, throughout his entire career, be alive for from the start of their career to the end of it. Or from the start of their career to, at this point in his career. Aaron Judge is arguably the best player in baseball. I would still hold off of that just because, I'm going to be objective. I'm going to, Ohtani's a great player. Don't get me wrong. Mike Trout, whenever he's healthy, is unbelievable. But the fact that we can talk about Aaron Judge and say, what he might, is he going to be better than Soto? Is he going to be better than Trout? Is he going to be better than Ohtani? That tells you enough. Those guys, Mike Trout, Mike Trout's making $400 million. Ohtani got a $30 million deal for this season. The Angels could have just went to arbitration with him. And they just said, hey, screw it. Not even going to leverage with you. Here's $30 million. Juan Soto's talked about as maybe the first $500 million guy. When we're talking about Aaron Judge in the same breath as those guys, and we're saying, he's not even just in the same breath. He's in their tier. He might be better than some of those guys. That tells me enough to say if Aaron Judge is getting $40 million over the next 8 years from New York Yankees, I'm comfortable with that because it's Aaron freaking Judge. But I'll wrap up there and I'll let you, kind of finish up your thoughts.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, like I don't want to go too long here. I know it's been a bit of a long episode, so appreciate everyone for listening. Of course, if you made it this far, lots of free agents that the Yankees have big decisions over, so we had to talk them all over. But yeah, I just want to echo what you said. Like Aaron Judge is priority one. He is. You got to turn this shit up to DEFCON 1,000,000 for how important is Aaron Judge like retaining his signature. That's why we were saying all this. Everything we've said, there are reasons behind it. The players love him. The fans love him. There's nothing not to like about him. He can regress a little bit as a baseball player, and that's fine. But Aaron Judge also, people have to remember last season, they all like to gripe about how he struggled a bit in the postseason. Like I said, every Yankee did. But you look at what he did to get the Yankees to the postseason. Without Judge, this team sucked. This team's fighting with Baltimore and maybe Seattle if they're lucky for that final wildcard spot. Without Judge going into next season, this team is a shell of itself. They will not be able to make nearly as much money. And who do you market if you're Hal and Cashman? Who do you have to say, yeah, he's going to fill in the shoes of Aaron Judge, the guy that just put together a Barry Bonds level season? You can't let it go. That's a mistake that you'll never be able to recover from, and you'll never hear the end of it. So I think Judge is a Yankee. I think Rizzo's a Yankee because Judge is a Yankee. And like you said, the rest of them, honestly, the only guy I'd really want to see brought back for the right price is honestly Matt Carpenter. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
So, again, this was a little bit of a longer episode, but I think it had to be. There are a lot of free agents.
We had like 11 players. We had to
run through. there were 10 right there. 10 actual major league. Like we didn't go through the minor league guys. If we wanted to go through every single technical free agent, this could have gone on forever.
I mean, 3.5 hour long episode.
Yeah, it could have been. But we appreciate you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you guys so much. We've grown exponentially lately, and that's because of you guys. The off-season free agency begins at 4:00. Or maybe is it 5:00? I'm gonna double check the Brian Hoke tweet. Is it? I hope I didn't just butcher his name. I've actually never tried.
No,
to
it's Brian.
It's
Hoke, because think about the hokey pokey.
Yeah. So 4:00 is the deadline for qualifying offers. We'll get the answers on Rizzo and Tyone, I guess, at that point in time, and then 5:00 we hit free agency and everything's all bets are off, and we'll see what the Yankees do.
Last thing before we go, what's your first? We saw Diaz already signed, because I personally think that's not a great contract, but he's the best reliever in baseball, so it's fair for him. The Mets I would never give a reliever $20 million. We saw it happen with Aroldis when we gave him $86 million over 5 years. Didn't work out. Anyways, what free agent do you think is the first big guy off the board? For me, I think it's going to be Xander Bogaerts, and I think the Red Sox are going to give him a somewhat team-friendly deal.
It'll be Justin Verlander, 2 years, $55 million, coming to the New York Yankees. He'll probably go back to the Astros. I mean, let's be real here. I mean, it's.
But you think Verlander's the first guy?
I think Verlander. He went very early last year, and I think he'll do it again. He was very, he wants to sign before the lockout. I don't think he's someone who wants to ponder through free agency too much. I could be wrong. I'm not sourced. I don't think either of us have claiming to be sourced here. We're just throwing shit at a wall.
Despite the blue check mark, your ass boss.
Yes, despite the fact that I'm paying Daddy Elon $8 for
at least it wasn't 20. He came off that high hope.
No, he did, dude. Speaking of, people think $40 million is a lot for Aaron Judge. $20 for Twitter Blue would have been insane. $8.
What the hell do you think I am?
Yeah. What do you think? I print money, man? Anyways, but look, thank you guys so much for checking us out. Free agency starts at 5:00 Eastern time. You guys know that if anything happens with the Yankees, this is the channel to come to for all your New York sports content as well. Check out Empire Sports Media for all your New York sports content. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I have a blue check mark. I paid $8 for it. Please follow me. Make my investment worth it. But again, thank you guys for your support. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think. Do you guys agree, disagree? Do you guys think my haircut's stupid? Let me know in the comments below. Love you guys so much. We'll see you guys next video. Peace out.